Welcome to Integrate Yourself, everybody. I'm your host, Allison Pillow, and you can find me on AllisonPillow.com and FinallyThrivingProgram.com. Today, I'm here with a very special guest, my good friend, Jamie Wollrab. For the better part of 2 decades, Jamie has been a multifaceted coach. In this time, he has worked with some of the most influential people in the entertainment, music, personal development, and wellness communities. In 2014, Jamie began studying with the men's leadership and embodiment coach, John Wineland, and assisted countless workshops with John in both the area of masculine work as well as relationship and intimacy. Additionally, Jamie co-teaches embodiment workshop geared towards Jungian shadow integration and chakra sound healing. While his years spent in the world of acting and performance have greatly impacted and influenced him as a teacher, his true passion lies in joining success, artistic fulfillment, and emotional and spiritual health. He is deeply honored and privileged to bring his entirely unique set of skills to each and every client. His company, Jamie Wollrab Studios, produced an award-winning film, Pilgrimage, in 2021. He just directed A Steady Rain in Santa Fe while acting in the world premiere of A Brother's Play. He has been teaching acting, voice, and men's workshops all over the world. And Jamie, you are a dear friend of mine. You and I have been working together for years. So I am so excited you're here. And I can't wait to talk about what we're going to talk about, the artist journey, the artist way. I've joined you on for this will be like probably the fourth year I'm joining the Artist Way group, and we're going to get more into what that's about today. Yeah, it's been incredible. So I would love for you to share more about that as well as anything else you'd like to share about yourself today.
Um, Amazing, and thank you so much. And I think this is our first podcast in a few years.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Been a while, and we've had so many interactions between then and now. God, it's so interesting to listen to your bio back to you, and you're like, is that who I am? Is that me? Did I do that? It's such a trip. I don't think I've read that or
Yeah.
seen that. It's gets updated here and there. But I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's sometimes we want to be able to describe what we do outside. So it would be, to layman's terms, whatever people that aren't like in the lack of a better term cult of coaching. It's like, what is it that we do? And it's when I think what's something that I really want to talk about today and hear from you too is that how we're always not just being creative, but we're creating ourselves,
Yeah.
and we're creating what we are and what we do. And sometimes it's because we have to look back and like, well, what have I been doing the last 3 years? And okay, I might need a new title because I'm actually doing this. So you're an author now, a published author, I'm a director now, and I'm, moving more into executive coaching, which is not because I called myself that, but because that's really what I'm doing. And so I
Yeah.
think that our titles of whatever it is that we are constantly changing. Unless you're a banker and you're a banker and you've been a banker and you keep going and being a banker. But with us, it's like we're on the cutting edge. Like we're always evolving of what the new. And I think that that's what's so important about being an artist is that we can be flexible as well in our own identity. Just a trip to hear that back and being like, I don't know, I was embarrassed and shy and I'm sure your bio would be the same, but I just think it's such an interesting kind of way into the conversation. It's like
Yeah.
who are we? And that is part of what we're creating as well.
Absolutely. And honestly, there was more of your bio I could have read, Jamie. You have so much experience. I wanted to just focus in on more of the coaching part of you, but you have had so much. Uh, I mean, you're an incredible person in the way you have helped people in the acting in the acting realm and on a personal level with just their personal growth and all kinds of the spiritual growth as well. So when it comes to people like you, there's not very many people who can do all of that. That's just so much, and you've helped me as well. Um, with my creative projects, and as well, your wife has helped me with the book, and we have a long history together. And so um yeah, you've been a huge inspiration to me. So I mean, I've just really been so grateful I got to connect with you years ago. I think back like in it was like 2019.
19, yeah.
I did an acting workshop with you in New York, and that was really incredible. You just opened me up to a new part of me that I didn't even know existed, you know? It
Oh,
was really magical.
mhm,
So, you have like it doesn't matter what you call yourself. You are like you're really talented at what you do and how you help people.
yeah.
And you've called it many different things, but what really matters is like that magic that you bring to the table, and you always bring great people together as well. I've noticed that throughout the years, just really incredible people.
Mhm,
And I've always enjoyed being in that those communities as well. So yeah, yeah. Just wanted to give you some praise there.
mm. It's so funny. Oh, thank you. Learning how to receive, and I same with you. You helped me with training, and you've helped me. I think the people that are the best at what they do make it effortless, and then sometimes when you get praise for it, you're like, I was just being myself, and you know, um, being able to. I'm actually gonna turn on my off my focus, um, and that it's just an extension of who you are as you're a healer and as you're a coach and you're directing people in their health and their bodies. It was interesting. I'll speak to one thing. Um, I directed a play this year that I was immensely proud of. It's in the bio, but A Steady Rain. We ended up doing it in Santa Fe, and it was such a success. We ended up bringing it to Los Angeles. And what was special about it was that usually in an artistic process, like actor, you direct something, and then the show's over, and people are like, oh my God, you were so good. But there was something different about this experience, and this experience was people said, how did you do that? Like, how did you do that? Because it was such an immersive and it was a very alive experience. And I wanted to speak to the artist way and living the life of an artist. And I had just in Santa before I went to Santa Fe, I was in Colorado running a men's retreat that went very well. And I said, well, because I didn't direct the play any differently than I ran my men's retreat. I did it, they were very similar. It was, I talked to my interns in the same way I would talk to, the star actor, that there was months of preparation. Um, there was, meditating on a theme, and really, it wasn't just like, hey, let's sit some guys together and let's do it. Like, it was immense amount of preparation. And while I was being vulnerable and if mistakes happened, or miscommunication happened, I knew I was the one that was like, I was leading this and I was directing this. So I was like, the buck stops with me. Okay, that's my fault. That didn't happen. That didn't work. Um, and so it was interesting seeing that the spiritual path and this artistic path are really one and the same. I'm rambling, but I was reading this amazing book by Gay Hendricks called "The Seven Secrets of the Corporate Mystic," and he literally said what I just said to you. And was saying this before I read the book. And in the book, in this first chapter in the book, he talked about a CEO of, I think it was Motorola, and the spiritual teacher. There's this Buddhist meditation teacher that he went on a 7-day retreat with. And he said something interesting. He said he saw that they were so similar, that this woman that was leading this meditation retreat and this man that was like leading this company that was thriving, that he saw this core principle of spiritual integrity. There were synonymous between the two
Mhm.
of them. And that to me has just taken time. And in the work that you and I have done together, it's like, how long have you been a trainer? How long have I been an acting coach? How long have I been an actor? And it's like, we're still getting better. Like, how long have you been a writer? it's like we're still sanding that statue, we're still working this,
Mhm.
and yet it becomes, the more we work on it, the more it's really one thing.
Mm.
It's really one thing about it's how we are being is what then emulates the work and the impact we have in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. Yeah. Is is that it doesn't matter what you call it, you are, you know, you're that energy that you're creating, right? That you're cultivating every day
We
with
all
what you're
are. I
doing.
think we
Yeah,
all are.
exactly. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all are. Don't we wish politicians would do the same thing? It's like we, that's what's so tricky about that world, where it's a very strict world where it's like, and I think that to me is why I'm attracted to these really authentic souls and people who are seeking that. And so they come into our groups because they're like, we know there's something that's not right about outside in the world, and I don't want to just get triggered and share on Facebook and be like, can you believe this person? It's like, we're going to go, no, 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 this is triggering me because there's an aspect of this that I have within myself,
Mhm.
and I can't make a difference until I've owned that part of me, or made a play about it, or wrote a book about it, right? And so then
Yeah.
that's what's so amazing. It's like then people read Finally Thriving, or they join the Artist Way group, and then they kind of get a taste of, oh, somebody can do this. They can make, there was somebody said this recently about alchemy, like alchemy, like in the old Hermetic sense, is turning iron into gold. And they thought like it's not, chemically possible to do that.
Mhm.
But what they're really talking about is the alchemy of us as beings, is that we're turning our own lead of ourselves into gold. We are refining
Yeah.
our spirit, our mind, our body, and you know, this as a coach. It's like, you want a great life. It's like you gotta eat well, and you gotta move your body, and you gotta get your rest, and you gotta speak up and share your voice about what it is that you're trying to you're wanting to express. And that's the alchemy. And then all of a sudden, as I've noticed through, whether it was the play or whether it was the Artist Way or our last course we did on money, is that I just saw everyone kind of turn into gold
Mhm.
by
It did happen.
working through these questions and writing. And like, I saw
Yeah.
that the alchemy happened, and then everyone left in this, like, we left them better than we found them, right? And I don't think that process ever ends. I'm just so grateful to have friends like you and a platform like this to be able to talk about it, because you remind me and affirm me that it's like, no, this is worth it. This matters.
Oh, yeah.
What we do
Sometimes
is
it
these
feels like it
creative,
doesn't, doesn't it?
right.
Yeah, like, I felt
Yeah.
like that with my skill set as well, with being a trainer and, you know, just discounting the physical aspects of living, but, like, it's you have to bring those higher aspects and spirituality into your body, into embodiment. So, otherwise, like, you're not gonna be in a body, right? Like, what's the point of being in a body if we're not embodying those
And
higher
I'll
aspects? Yeah.
well, I'll throw one in that
Yeah.
even deeper, is that even success won't feel good
Yeah, right.
if you're not embodied in it. You're not understanding it. Like, there again, another Gay Hendricks reference of the big leap, which is, you'll have an upper limit and we'll sabotage it. We'll be like, I didn't earn this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I screwed somebody over to get here. It was nepotism, or whatever the things may be that got that success. Inside, we'll know that it's like, it doesn't feel right, or it doesn't feel good. But I believe, like, this work, the success is in that doing. And then if the outside approval does come, again, it's more of an affirmation. It's like, yeah, no, really did give my best to those men on that men's retreat, and I really genuinely gave my best to those artists on that play. And so when people enjoyed it, and it was a success, it felt um, coherent. I felt like, oh,
Yeah,
I
right.
can receive it because that feels true because I really did try. And I know I could have done better in many of the areas, but it was like I was up every morning and meditating and working out and looking at my part and like surrounding myself with people that were trustable. And I was like, and then this is the crazy thing, Allison, is at the end of it, you go, I really love my life
Yeah.
because because it is in the actions that we're taking in the world. And it's like, oh my God, I actually believe what I'm saying. And I can stand by it. And it was like, I was saying this to you before we got on the recording, but it's like, you're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, ugh, because I'm about to lead a group and I can't do the things that aren't the guy that leads the group. I can't
Yeah.
go off and, drown in fast food or something if I'm the trainer. I mean, we can, but we'll know we're not ultimately serving the
Yeah.
people that we're going to be serving. And so there's some days where you're like, oh, I have to be good in my heart because I know that I'm the transmission of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love the way you say
Does that
that
make
because
any sense?
absolutely, because that's called living in integrity. Like if we're teaching something, we have to also I think anyway, it's good for you to experience it as well, right? Before you can really
Right.
teach it. So
Someone going
living
to
in
pay me for
integrity,
this?
right?
Right? And
I'm
it's
not going to
like,
be a really good
oh, but
trainer
that Big Mac would
if
be
I don't
so
take care of my
great.
own body, right? I
Yeah.
mean, but there are trainers out there like that, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure, I'm
But
sure. I was one of them. I was a trainer that did that. And I was like, I don't have the fortitude for that. But it's our own sort of junk food behaviors
yeah,
that,
yeah.
as we as artists, it's not about being a perfectionist, but it's about being authentic. And I
Yes,
think that
authentic
that's
is a good
what
word for it.
um I'm so moved about doing the artist way again this year with all of you is what I'm already feeling, the people that have already joined. And like Kieran is joining this year and she's assisting me and she was in the money group. And her enthusiasm of what changed her life during the money group, you can't buy that kind of authenticity. And now she's like proselytizing about
Yeah,
the artist way, which is really cool. And I'm like, that's success to me. It's like, oh, I want to spend more time with you in my world. And, to get into like the artist way, it's like I think this will be my fourth year doing it. You were part of the first year, is like we're constantly creating our lives and we're creating, whether it's interior decorating our home. I just bought a cabin up in Idlewild and it's like, how do I want to design that? And how am I going to, down to the paintings, down to what I'm cooking, down to, and I'm actually going to write a book about this
oh,
year called
that's
The Art of
great.
Creative Living, which is looking at all aspects of my life and going, every single the aspects that have cultivated and that I'm proud of, it's because I brought an artist way to my approach to it.
Yeah, right.
Down to how we dress, down to how we solve problems or relationship problems. Like, oh, I want to just scream at this person, a friendship relationship I'm in, and I'd love to just blow up. But I know that things like imago dialogue and things like that, it's like, okay, but if I'm creative in my communication, we're gonna get better, we'll have a better result, you know?
Yeah,
And I know that, but I still need to be like reminded. So I know I'm talking a
yeah.
lot, so I'll
Oh
pass
no,
this.
that's what we're here for. We're here to hear you talk. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the shadow stuff because you really taught me a lot about shadow. Let me turn this.
Oh yeah.
So, and this is one thing I've really been integrating even more this year is, because you mentioned the word perfectionism, and for some of us who are trying to be perfect and fit in, and all those things, and um, it's like we have been pushing those shadows away, right? It's for years, and then finally, when we step into the shadow and we just make peace with it and acknowledge that it even exists, then it just dissipates, right? I've
Mm,
experienced that in some of your with working with you, really a lot of like some of the workshops and also some of the one-on-one work. And
mm,
so, as that relates to creativity, I had a question a while back. A person
Sure.
was like, "Well, isn't it good to have like, aren't people, you know, creating from their shadows, like, and creating, and isn't that like something that is inspiring them to create, and shouldn't we just like what's that I mean, I my answer was that, well, I mean, it's if you're creating from a less wounded place and you have made peace with your shadows, and if you're then you're going to create more purely in a sense, right? So yes, you can create from a wounded place, but and what is your opinion on this, Jamie? In my opinion, it's more, I think it's going to be a more pure creation. It's going to be more authentic, even if it's coming from a place of health and healing, and I don't know. What is your
I have it. I think I have, again, as we're all, this is always a moving feast. I think
yeah,
I have my answer for it today, which is my, the kind of the thing that I'm working with myself. So, because I can get into the shadow, and are we gonna work from a destructive or a creative place? I don't see it as bad or evil or anything like that.
right.
It's like, am I am I going to be a method actor and really shoot heroin to play a heroin addict? Like, you know what
Oh,
I mean?
right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, or am I going to, look at it through a, a vein of healing and how to transmute that into, again, I'm use the word alchemy. But here's my thought. I'm going to break this down in a way that I think is it's, for people that don't know what shadow work is, and I think it's really simple. I think in life we know what we know, right? So I know you're my friend Allison. I know that you're a trainer. I know that, I have an acting degree. I know that my name is Jamie. I know that, there's things that I know. The sky is blue, and I know what I know. And then there's the things I know that I don't know, which is I know I don't speak Mandarin Chinese. I know that I don't know how to dunk a basketball. Like, there's things I don't know, and I know that I don't know it, and that's great. So there's the things that I know, and there's the things that I know that I don't know. And that's all conscious, and that's all great. I think where we all get into trouble is that when we don't know that we don't know,
Right.
right? It's like, if you're ever in a
Yeah.
fight with somebody and you're like, stop yelling at me. They're like, I'm not yelling at you.
You're like,
And
"Yes, you
they
are."
literally, they really don't think they're yelling. They don't think that that's what they're doing. And that's,
Right.
your people. And I think like this whole world of being gaslit, I think that that word is completely abused and overused, other than some cases, because I think most people just don't know that they don't know that they're doing that. I don't think they
Right. I
know that
see.
they're like, they're lying, but they don't even know that they're lying. They're just, denial is like, don't even notice I am lying.
Yeah.
So shadow work is, to me, is what is our blind spot. It's just what we don't know. It's what we don't know or don't want to know about ourselves. So what the artist way does, or shadow work does, because they kind of get to the same point, is that they help us know what we don't know. Helps us know that, whether we have an abusive addiction of some kind, whether a person is toxic for us, or whether, our negative thoughts about ourselves. So if we have a negative thought about ourselves, it's like, oh, I'm stupid. God, I'm just stupid. But it's kind of like the call's coming from inside the house. So and because, a fish doesn't know he's wet, you just kind of go, oh, I just am stupid. That just is.
Right.
That's my
Right.
reality. And
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a narrative that could be changed. So shadow work is a way to kind of separate that part of me outside of me, and creating a character or something. It's like, you're stupid, you're just an idiot. And then I've like distanced myself from that voice. I've anthropomorphized that voice. And then I go, oh my God, that thing is literally was like some kind of, parasite and as part of me. And then the more I can separate it and see it, and then talk to it, and like, what does it want from me? Like, what do you need? What's a voice? And it's, it's childhood trauma, or it's these negative beliefs that happen to us. And then it's like we can heal that. And by admitting that and sharing about that and seeing that, we actually restore a part of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the greatest thing in the world, because of almost every single person I know, that I know personally and that are in my life personally, they're all good people. They're really genuinely good people. And I think that for almost all of them, 99% of them, their greatest enemy is themselves.
Mm,
And
yeah.
outside of like crazy different examples, but most of the people, what they battle is how they talk to themselves and how they treat themselves. And shadow work and in these kinds of processes is a way to kind of begin to nurture, reparent, and be kind to ourselves, and
Hmm.
then find an energy outlet or a voice for that negative voice to go, because we can't stuff it down. It wants to be shared. And that turned into my film Pilgrimage. Was the recovering addict in me came out in it, and now so much of that is healed. So much of that
Yeah.
is healed. And
Because
that
it's
came
no
through an
longer a
expression.
secret. Yeah.
It's no longer a secret. And it was made into art. It was given life. Like all those negative shadow voices, in my opinion, they just want a voice.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
just want to be heard in a way that we weren't heard at a certain point in our lives. And to me, the only way to do this is creatively. That's why I do what I do. Is That's why the Greeks wrote these tragedies, and we were able to see these like human foibles on stage and go, oh, I see myself in that. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I want to be able to see that artist express the depth of that pain. I can know what I don't know.
You cut out for just
Yeah,
a
I don't
little
know. It was a
bit.
little bit of a delay. So
Sorry about that. Yeah, I
it
don't
was.
know what's going on with
Oh
you.
no, no, it was a little bit of a delay. But I'm saying is that why we do that is to know what we don't know, and then once we
Yeah.
know it, it's like, well, now what do I do with it?
And you have to release it, and creativity is a way to do that. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. You can write a poem about it. You can paint about it. You can cook about it. You can sing about it. You can do a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's then something. There's then that space is inside of us, and then we actually can go. I have now more room to be present in my life because I'm not being weighed down by a voice from my past. It's
Yes, yes.
usually a voice from our past, and so it frees us up. And that's
Yeah.
why it's year 4, and I'm probably gonna do a podcast with you in 6 years, and be like, "We're
Where are
doing
we
the artist
now?
way again," and I'm like, "Yep."
Because you just keep peeling the layers off. I know. I know. As you were saying that, thought about the book, my book, and how shared stories, and so it did feel like it was an unloading of stuff I had been holding in myself for so long, whether it was good stuff, bad stuff, whatever information, that I needed to share. It felt like kind of the same. So it did create a lot of space. So I agree with you 100% on that. And yeah, it really frees us up, I believe, when we can express ourselves. Otherwise, if we're not expressing ourselves, we're just suppressing. And like
Mhm.
you said, holding it, trying to hold it in our physical container. And I remember when I was at one of your retreats, and I cannot recall his name, but the breath worker that you hired he
Sam,
was amazing. What's his name again?
Sam Morris.
Sam Morris. Yeah, okay, so he is incredible. And during that breathwork session, I had that voice come in that said, "You cannot contain this." And that was huge. That just gave me permission to release so much. And so I feel like, yeah, our bodies we're not meant to contain the energy. We need to let it move through. We really need to express it. And so this is what I've gotten really from the artist way as well. It is, you're going through your stories, your shadows along the way in the book and in the class. And then as you go, you are unloading all that baggage so that you do have more space to create, as well as a creative process to go through that in the first place, you know?
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's really, I've gotten so much out of it. So yeah, thank you
Mm.
for that
Well,
great
and your book is
explanation of the
and your
shadow.
yeah, and your book is seminal, you know, that it's not only you used your pain and your victories to write a book, it's like it now exists. And now so many
Yeah,
things that you've done from that book have created programs and podcasts and tours and and there's yes, there's more to be done, but you have a touchstone. You go, "Oh, I can do it because I did it."
yeah,
And you know that to me is a little bit about what I do. Sometimes I don't get to express this so much is that I help those that have been like, okay, I've done everything for money and now I have this, but I don't have something creative. And it's like, okay, my mom just wrote a book this year and she was
yeah,
a worker bee for years and then, got into spirituality and wrote a book called Lotus. And then I also feel like artists also need structure. They need to be able to be fed and to be able to ask for their own value. So it's so interesting. I have these two polar opposite programs, which is the artist way, which is opening us up into being able to let the emotions out and let the art out. And then in the summer I do the money course that I help like hold these artists responsible to their greatness, that we need
yeah,
structure, we need payment plans, we need websites, we need things that like we need CPAs, know how to do our taxes. And it's like it's all about balance.
right.
So yes, it's great to do shadow work, but we also, need to know how to pay our bills at the same
Yeah,
time.
that's
We need
important.
to,
Yeah, we did
we
learn
need
that
to
over the
pick up our
summer. Yeah,
kids and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and be good, be good parents. And so that's why as I've just watched, at least I'll speak for myself, it's like I've watched so much growth over these last few years. And um, about, you know, whether it was the film or these plays, and I see them all building on top of each other. And so for the first time, I don't feel like once a project is over, I'm like, "Phew, it's over, and now I'm
Yeah.
starting over. Much like Finally Thriving, it's like, yes, it's out there, but that is a stepping stone to the next thing. Like you've built something that you should be incredibly proud of.
Thank you.
And your next creation is like that old ceiling is now the floor. You
Right.
don't have to
Yeah.
go back. You're stacking into creating a life and creating a career that's extraordinary.
Yeah. Yeah. Working on a second book as well. That's taking a little longer, but yeah. Um, well, yeah, I mean, I love how you put that because it's an ongoing process and we're going to continue to do this. And I feel like creativity in some ways is just the fountain of youth. Like if as you get older, you just realize all these things that you haven't had the opportunity to create yet. And they're like, oh, I would like to create this and this and this. And it just the world opens up because,
Mm.
you spend most of your youth, like, if you have a family, you're raising the family, you're working. And so most of the time is spent developing your career and you're, raising your kids and those things. Uh, and then the way I've been experiencing like the second half of life is like, oh, wow, like this is the time to do all the things I didn't get to do or haven't done yet and learn. Like, so this year I was learning music all year and that was really amazing.
Oh yeah, the
Continuing to do that
ukulele,
too.
right? The ukulele.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited about your new book as well. That's amazing too. You've been doing a lot of good things have been coming to you. You've been creating your life because really the ultimate and this you told me this years ago, the ultimate creation is your life. Like you're creating this in real time through your schedule, through what you choose to do every day, through how you choose to decorate your house, to what you put on first thing in the morning, to how you start your morning. Everything is a creation. So if we can even start there, because many of us don't think we're creative, but we are. Everybody is. And this is what I think moving into 2024 is going to be really the most important thing is to hone into your own inner creativity, your own uniqueness there and how you see the world, how you show up in the world. maybe how you would like to, maybe what things, other things you'd like to do, what do you want to do differently that you haven't done before? So I think this class is going to be even more important than ever for people because we really are in a time where we need to be creative. It's like it's very important, you know?
Well, I mean, and not to be doomsday here, I just love everything you just said. Like, is that I think in some ways the not that there's always a challenge of a different age. There's always challenges, but to me, it feels like information is like not as readily trusted as it was before. And again, I'm not on either. I'm not going to get into any of the policies or any of the things, but just I'm speaking to myself as a creative person that it just seems like it's harder to deal with the world than ever. And
Yeah.
there always seems to be, whether it's an inflation or I just got a bill today from my car insurance. So like, hey, we're adding $50 a month. Like eggs were like $10 instead of two. Like there's things that are constantly shifting. Um, and we're having to then deal with, I mean, again, it was the last few years that we're in, it was like, this is the problem, this is the solution. It's like, oh wait, no, never mind, that's not the problem, this is. And
Yeah.
we were like, like what's real? Like, I don't know. And so to me, it's like we ultimately, and this came through a very, very powerful healer of mine, and it stuck with me. This woman named Patrice, and she's amazing. And she said that ultimately, in this age of Aquarius, out of age of Pisces, is we're actually having to stitch and create our own reality, and not be delusional in that reality. I'm not saying that, but it's like I'm noticing that the leaders that I'm seeing are leaders that are more in smaller pods or smaller groups, or
Yeah.
uh, it's not so. And that's what feels so nice about kind of like leading something like the artist way, where it's like, and there's something I do now before I take anyone into any of my groups. I talk to them for an hour first. I don't just let anyone
Yeah.
in, because I think last year there were some mentally unstable, like and I, because I didn't vet anybody coming in. I was like, oh, it'd be great, and I'm like, nope, I've got more boundaries now, and I'm still those doors are really flexible, but I'm putting more time and more energy to make sure that it's a safe space. And it's like I learned that. And
Yeah.
so it's just a little bit harder this year. It's a little bit, but it's definitely worth it. So, it's like, yes, we can be these sensitive artists, and yes, you want to be creative, but I also would just say to people, it's like, be aware, and be aware of your surroundings, and be aware of things we believe, and make sure that we know that it's true for us, and um that it's been a very interesting couple of years, and that to know that I'm responsible for my own reality has
Yeah.
kept me sane. It's kept me so sane. And I'm not it's triggered about any of the noise that's outside of it, because I go do my research and do my work, and I don't argue with anyone. I let everyone believe that they want to believe, because I really feel like, as you said, like the groups of people that we put together are such really good people.
Yeah.
Um, because what I love is there's a personal accountability to them. And then they're like, oh my God, I can share this crazy thought, or I can be this. And people around there are like, hey, I feel similarly to you. And so that's something that I'm this year. It's like, I love that for those that come that are new, it's like we've really established a core group of people that are awesome,
Yeah.
that have done this before, and that and I try to partner up new people with people that have been there before, and it's just amazing. Like leading these types of programs have really saved my life, and also have made me go, I don't know if there's another way, because you know like I have to be able to be responsible uh to myself and to my creativity, and especially as entrepreneurs, it's like I don't go to somebody for a paycheck. It's like I'm constantly always um building something new, and each time it's like I got to make sure that structure of that new organism that we're building is like sound. And um and it's just so cool to watch, and then from that safe kind of environment, to watch what's created out of that is
Yeah.
John Bucati's work, what Bree's doing, and like what you're doing, like, oh my God. And then the public thing comes out of it is
Yeah.
something that's really well researched and true, and then we back it 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, there's incredibly creative human beings and good people, like you said, in that group. I mean, I've been honored and just so delighted to be in that group of people. Um, and what you said earlier, yes, we are creating our reality. We have been creating our reality the whole time. I just don't think we noticed, as much as we do now in some ways. And so, yes, there's a collective reality or dream, like my friend Paul Levy talks about. And there's, your individual, like you're saying, we get to take responsibility for our own reality. And that's really what it's about. It's like you're not giving your power away to, like, oh, this person said this, so it must be this or that. What is it's about discernment. It's about what
Yeah.
your truth is, right? And so that's what we're getting to here as well. As artists, as creatives, we are taking our creative power back and we are learning how to use discernment and how we want to,
And have a voice and be willing
yeah,
to argue. Like, I
yeah,
love like, but where government used to be or things used to be where it's like I can disagree with you and you could disagree with you, and it's not like,
right.
and that we can able to go like I have a voice, but I also love collaboration, and I also go, oh, actually, that's a really interesting thought. I need to rethink that. I could be wrong, or I haven't refined that idea enough, and it's like having sort of a salon of place to go like, hey, I'm writing this chapter on this book and I need somebody's feedback. Will you read it? I'm directing a music video right now, and the edit isn't coming together. And I let people look at it and go, God, that's not right. Or I love that. I love surrounding myself with creatives going, it's just not there, or this isn't wrong. I need to take it into a new direction, which I am. I'm taking it into an entirely new direction. But having a space to be able to throw let an idea be bad
Yeah.
before I make it good. Like that's what's so cool, rather than being fragile in how we see ourselves, and rather than it's like we are sensitive but not fragile. Because I think sensitive is actually the strongest thing you can be, because we're
Mm.
aware and feeling. That's courage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so I just see like the greatest albums ever created, it's usually like artists that were like, that sucked. No, that sucked. You
Oh,
suck. Like
yeah.
look at the Beatles, look at, Radiohead, look at, Wilco, look at these, Fleetwood Mac. It's like these artists come together. And here's the point. The second answer to your question about do you want to be dark, and then what about those things that were created that were dark and shadowy? It's all about, is it, what's the purpose of it? Are you doing it consciously? I think there's reasons why movies like horror movies like Hereditary, which dealt with like family trauma and all of that, is a different brand of movie as opposed to like, horror porn. There's a reason why there's
Yeah.
there's fine art, and there's um that it's to me it's just what's the purpose? Like is it being done consciously? Am I going to that dark place to um to emulate something so that people can see, like, why does somebody play the devil? It's like you're playing the devil to tell that story. Like you're going through that darkness to hopefully have a better hope for humanity, or to that people can empathize, like playing a depressed person or Cuckoo's Nest. Like that's part of being in three-dimensional reality, is that there is polarity. And so being able to embody that and do it, because to me, is if we're doing it dark for the sake of dark, we're doing it for ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
selfish. It's
Yeah.
ultimately selfish. And if we're going through it because it's a gift, and it's something that we're going there so that we can help free somebody because we're doing it as a gift, it is ultimately selfless. And it's razor thin, the difference between that. So is it about you, or is it about, a universal theme that you're touching? And to me, that is the difference. Is it,
Yes.
so it's really it's not the what or the why. It really is the how. It really is how we go through that shadow. Um, that is all the difference. And if we're doing it and like hurting ourselves to do it, um, then I don't think it helps anybody.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great way to put it. I love that, Jamie. I love it. One question also about, okay, so you've been
Sure.
in the spiritual community, you've been in the acting community, you kind of put those two worlds together and help people through your coaching and also your creative expressions as well. But what do you think about like I in the spiritual community, there's a thing where people don't want to see the dark side of things. They wanna stay in the light all the time. Have you seen that aspect in the spiritual
Oh, the
community?
spiritual bypass?
The
Oh God,
spiritual bypassing. Yeah.
I wish I could play this on your. It's so funny. I'll send this to you privately. It's a little Ram Dass talk. It's like 6 minutes, and he talks about that am I that the value of processing, that we need to process our emotions. We need to know that there's darkness inside of us. We need to know that there's death and facing all of those things. Like we've got to do this, but he's like, but we can't stay there. And then there's also the kind of the Buddhist or the like detachment and the non-emotional of separation from it and witnessing it and being detached from it. But we can't stay there. Let's say
Right.
somebody loses their kid or a grief happens. It's like I'm just going to be in equanimity and I'm going to meditate through it. It's like I just don't know that there's anything valuable there. So I really believe that again, it's about balance. It's about balance of we can tell when somebody's just been kind of privileged and everything's worked out for them, and then they're like, "Oh, it's so easy to manifest." And it's like, "Yeah, it was easy to manifest with your trust fund." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like
do.
let's get
Yeah.
real as
Yeah.
opposed to I think on some level manifestation is could be true, but to me manifestation comes from hard work, accountability, and trustability, and consistency, and then I think we manifest something when it has integrity. That's how I've seen it.
Yeah,
um
absolutely. Yeah.
right, and so
Yeah.
to me it's like we can all smell when we're being sold something. We all can tell when it's not authentic.
Yeah.
And then there's a weird thing where somebody is like, bro, you're being way too authentic. Keep that private. So it's sort of like this weird balance. And I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we do it because there's stuff that's appropriate. But I also, I'm of the more of the Aquarian coach, not the Piscean coach. I share my vulnerabilities with the men in my men's group in my artist way. I share when I'm having a bad day. I don't always go into details, but I go, hey, this has been really rough for me recently.
Yeah.
I'm really doing my best with it. And that's never seemed to turn anybody off. It actually is a bit of a relief. If somebody's
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, dude, I'm winning, I'm great, I'm this, oh, girl, and da, 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 and inside I'm just like
Yeah.
17 weasels running around, and like it's just like we can, because I'm a voice coach, like you can hear it, like you can
Yeah.
hear when somebody's not speaking the truth. You just feel it. And so to me, it's like I'm doing this because I know I'm not consciously lying about anything in my life, but I want to always make sure that I'm being as authentic as possible. And so this spiritual bypass really robs us of our greatest gift as a coach, which is that we've been through it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been through it too. We've had heartbreak. We've been abandoned. Worked through our stuff. And hey, here's how you do it. So somebody described this really beautifully, like the difference between a coach and a therapist. A coach or a sponsor in recovery, it's like for a therapist, they don't want your experience. Like with my um therapists and that I've worked with, I don't want their experience. It
Right.
creeps me out. I want their expertise. I
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
know anything about my therapist, right?
That's the same for
No,
me too, actually. Like,
right,
I didn't think
exactly.
about
No,
like that,
you're a
but yeah.
therapist. I'm going to talk and we're going to go through, and I need your expertise and your degree on the wall. That's why I'm here. If
Yeah.
I'm working with a coach or, again, in 12-step recovery, when I'm working with a sponsor, I want their experience and expertise, but I want to go, hey, Allison, how did you write that book?
Yeah.
How did you do it? Jamie, how did you do that performance? How do you do that voice thing? How do you show up in your life in men's work? How did you stay sober? I then share the allegories of my story. I'd be a terrible therapist because I'm constantly making reference to how I did it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
me
not a
too.
therapist, and I don't that so part of the coaching bypass is it's like actually your experience is what makes you a good coach.
Mm, yeah.
And you're not sharing out of you're making it about yourself. You're going, hey, you're not alone. Hey, this is how I did it. Here's a way. And here's how I went through a breakup. Here's how I went through this trauma. I remember when I studied with John Wineland, the reason why I studied with John for 7 years was because I was so impressed with how he was a father to Claire and how he still was showing up for me while he was being this amazing father and was so human in his vulnerability about, and I'm like, how did you do this? I need to know how you did it. And so he
Yeah.
did the opposite of the bypass. He actually really embraced the heartbreak and the grief, became an enormous part of why I think he's as powerful as of a teacher he is today. And so I think that those that are bypassing, they're only cheating themselves.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I love that, and you're saying it humility, being humble and, being human, is really is what people need for that connection. And, for me also, yes, I want to be coached by someone who's been through this before, and can give me, some guidance there. So, yes, I agree with that so much, and I think there's a lot of coaches that have not actually had a lot of life experience yet to go through some of those things, and they act like they can help people, and that's cool too. But, it might not be.
Well, it's not that
Yeah.
cool.
It's like, I know
I
it's
don't
not
think
very
it's
cool
that
at all,
cool.
actually.
Like as you said it, I was like, I don't know if that's true. You
Yeah.
know, there's a reason why I don't think I really became like a coach. I mean, I was those 14, 2014. I assisted essentially for 6 years before I led my own men's program. And I started my own men's program, I think at 42, 43. Before I actually kind of knew my ass from my elbow. Like
Yeah.
I knew how to be an acting coach. I knew how to do that. I knew how to be a voice coach. And I was able to do some career coaching, but I wasn't able to really be the kind of life coach that I am today, executive coach that I am today, because, I've helped make multi-million dollar projects happen, and worked with people and pieces that are on these things. And it's like, oh, I've done it enough to go, I have some experience. And I did it while I was going through some of the hardest times of my life and still was able to do both things and take care of myself and have privacy and also be authentic. And it's just, it's so nuanced and it's layer by layer. And also the other thing I'll share about that is I think patience. I think it's like none of this healing and none of this work has to happen overnight or in just 1 year. It's like, as Miles Davis said, it takes a long time to sound like yourself. And maybe when I do the artist way this year, I might only really tune up and come into integrity around two or three things tops.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'm
Yeah.
gonna type without, maybe I'll edit better and do typos better. Maybe I'll be able to do make sure that I'm uh you know getting my auditions out there more often. Like whatever the things are, it's like it doesn't all have to happen today. It's like do your best, but also just know it takes time. One of my favorite things I heard from a coach once was we often overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 10.
Yeah. I remember when you said
If I
that.
were to
Yeah.
really look back at 2014 to 2024, which is interesting that you said that, it's like, wow, my life is massively different. My impact is
Yeah.
massively different. And it's like, whoa, look at all that has been created in that time. And now, like, oh my God, it's a new year. What am I going to do in this new year? And it's like, well, what if I actually looked at it? Like, what do I want to do these next 10 years? And I think I'd actually be more connected and deeper and more calm and actually maybe even accomplish more next year if my goal is to be like, it's going to take 10.
Yeah, because you're giving yourself space, right?
And know that it's like I gotta start now.
Yeah.
And this is not gonna be, they said it when I remember when I first got sober, they said it's, you really don't pull your head out of your butt as an addict for 10 years. I'm
Yeah.
14 now. Yeah, it's been about 10 years of sobriety to finally go, oh, there's no like, oh, I'm sober after 6 months. Like for me, that just wasn't, even though I didn't drink for 6 months, it just took time to heal and to live in this new energy and this new, and that takes, it just takes time and it's painful. It's really painful, but it's so worth it because the other pain is like the Groundhog Day. I'm back doing the same shit over and over again. And to me, like that's why like the lotus flower is connected to that beautiful flower. It grows out of shit.
You're right. Yeah.
So if
Yep.
you want to put this beautiful stuff out in the world, you got to be connected to your shit.
I like that. Yeah. And I like how you said it takes a long time to find your voice. Miles Davis said that, right? Is that what you,
Yeah.
was that the
Takes
quote?
a long time to sound like yourself.
To sound like yourself. That's it. Yes, and I've experienced that, and I know, why I wonder sometimes, like, why does it take us so long to sound like ourselves? Because like we should have been able to sound like ourselves from day one, but it just takes as long as it takes, I guess. But yes, I've been
It
on that
just
journey
takes a minute.
myself.
There's an
Yeah.
artist right now, this guy named, I think, Oliver Anthony. He has a song out called Northman, North of Richmond. And he wrote a song. And again, I'm not, again, not getting political, but the song is so riveting. And it captured, it was like, but he was probably playing music for 20 years,
Yeah,
just,
right.
he does put it on the internet and then it's this over sensation. But it's like, it wasn't like he just learned to play the song that day and now the song is out. It's like we're going through this the whole time. And maybe it's not that it's taking you long to sound like yourself, it's that maybe you haven't yet aligned fully to the audience that you're meant to have. I think
Yeah.
you sound a lot like yourself, as I do too. It's just who knows who's listening and what when the world really needs our voice. So we
Yeah.
have to constantly be cultivating it over time. And the people that I admire are the people who are truly dedicated to being a good person and a good creator. And those two things are one and the same.
Yeah. I love that. Well, let's make sure that we talk about the artist's way
Oh,
and just give everybody just an
yeah, yeah, yeah,
idea of
yeah, yeah.
what that is and when it's happening
Yes,
and
yes.
all the details.
I extended it a week, the starting of it, just because the first day is the day right after New Year's.
Yeah,
And I
right.
just was feeling it just was feeling a little bit of pressure and I wanted to give space. I ended up moving the workshop to the end of March. So it's Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's about 75 minutes. There'll be guest teachers. It's going to be amazing of like the people we had.
I'll be
You will be one
teaching.
of the guest
Yep.
teachers.
Mhm.
And so will John Bucati, and so will Bree, and I have a few others. And then there's a Zoom open room that anyone can join that we write in the morning, but it's open 24 hours. And then we'll have writing buddies. I'll partner people up to have
Right.
accountability
You
buddy,
say writing buddies,
and then a
accountability
3 day
buddies?
workshop in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you can even, it's just like a WhatsApp and that you can just say, hey, I did my writing. It's like a daily
Yeah, yeah.
accountability to your person. I've found that really helped and helps to have an accountability buddy. Um, but it's just meeting with artists and going through each chapter per week. So it lasts a total of 13 weeks because there's the introduction and then it goes to the end of March. Um, there's it's 2,500 for everything. So it's the catering and in the final workshop. If well, I'll get
Yeah,
into the workshop later.
you would spend that much just on a retreat, like,
Yeah,
but this lasts
I know. So
3 months.
you're getting both,
Yeah,
and you get a
right.
one-on-one session with me. Um, but yeah, it's 13 calls and a retreat for 2,500.
That's amazing. And then I just love the accountability. You kinda cut out a little bit, that's why I wanted you to repeat that, but the accountability buddy is great because you get the extra, support from people and that connection from people in the group as well. And it's just an amazing program, and the fact that you like offer the writing every morning too, that's incredible. I mean, I don't know if people understand how much time you put into this and how much you offer, but it is a big deal, and that's a lot of support. So if you're listening and you're wanting to write a book, this is how I started my book. I just
Mm,
started writing every day, every morning. Started with morning pages if you're familiar with the artist way. And it really facilitated that for me and my ability to be creative that way. So I highly recommend if you're working on a creative project or you just want to kind of, you know, clear the clutter for the new year, this is a
mm.
perfect opportunity to do
Oh,
that.
it's the best. It's the best New Year's resolution there is because it actually has sustenance to it, and it's like, and we hold you accountable. And this is the fourth year I've done it, so I've gotten really like clear. Like I know how to run it, and it almost runs itself in a way now, because the people that have joined again, keep joining again, and so
Yeah.
it's just like the first year I was like, what am I doing? And like it was you were thank you for fumbling through it with me the first time, but now it's like a really well-oiled machine and we will serve you guys and I would love any of your people. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jamie. Thanks for coming on. And where can they sign up for that? Do you have a website they can go to? I can leave it in the show
Yeah,
notes as well.
yeah, there you have the link that I sent you and it's you could also go through jamiewollrab.com and you can sign up through that. You can do a free consultation with me. You want to talk to me about it one on one, if it's right for you. And I'm looking forward to it. We begin January 9th.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie.
All right. Thank you, Allison.
Your life is your greatest work of art, and it all relates back to the synchronicity.